That's pretty good.
And again, anyone listening on Sirius or on the podcast heard nothing here. My interpretation of it, and I have confirmed this with a panel of experts, Patriots, Jets, no thank you.
Yeah, no thank you.
Chiefs, Bills, please, yes, I'm very interested.
Yeah.
Now, there could be other teams interested in him. There could be other teams he's interested in. It was just 4, but Pats, Jets, no. Bills, Chiefs, yes.
Yeah, I mean, not shocking, right? I feel like we'd hear just about every receiver that became available, or was thinking about being traded. Those would be 2 teams that would be at the top of their list, right? I mean, everybody wants to play with Mahomes right now. And if you're a DeAndre Hopkins type of football player and you get to go to the Kansas City Chiefs, you're going to be the number 1 guy. So for that's exciting in that scenario. Whoa, I can go there, And yeah, I don't have to have all the pressure of wait, I got to go 1,500 yards and all that, but I'm going to be a main part of the offense and the go-to receiver along with Travis Kelce, the go-to tight end. So yes, I'm not shocked by that. And I mean, as we talked about with other receivers and teams and everybody else too, everybody recognizes that Buffalo needs something else at that position. It's one of those things that I feel like everybody recognizes except for Buffalo. Is it me, or does it seem like that sometimes? Right? But so I'm not shocked by that either. There's a need there. And, of course, yeah, maybe you're not the number 1, but you're 1A up there, and you become an awesome combination with Stephon Diggs. So I get that from DeAndre Hopkins. I'm sure you do too.
I wonder if it's stubbornness that they don't want to give in when everyone is saying you need to get some help at receiver. You need to go get a veteran to go along with Stephon Diggs. That Gabe Davis isn't the guy that we thought he was going to be after the 4-touchdown performance in the playoffs over against the Chiefs more than a year ago. I don't get it. And look, there's been some chatter. Maybe they're going to draft somebody. They have to be thinking about their number 1 option post Diggs. I don't know how much longer Diggs is going to be the number 1 guy. Beyond the fact that he's getting older, he seems to be getting a little impatient, a little restless in Buffalo. We've talked about that. We've seen that. They need to be developing their next number 1 guy. And until then, he can be a complement to Stephon Diggs. But, I mean, look at what Joe Burrow has in Cincinnati and look at what Josh Allen has in Buffalo. Beyond Stephon Diggs, what's there? Who's there? And I don't know that Hopkins is the answer, but at least they could be evaluating the possibility of DeAndre Hopkins. That would be a suitable combination for a year.
Definitely.
Diggs and Hopkins as the primary receivers catching passes from Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, it would change our thought of their team overall, right? Now you think of Gabe Davis a different way, and you go, whoa, okay, wait, now he's a number 3? I like that. Okay. And then maybe they draft somebody, or whether it's a running back or another receiver in the draft, and all of a sudden you start to go, whoa, wait, there's something elite about this phase of their football team. See, that to me a little bit, and I had this conversation with my dad actually over the weekend. It's funny it's even coming up. And just that a little of Buffalo seems like they're a little bit stuck in a phase of hey, we want to make every part of our team good, right? We want to make it all, good. But we got to worry about sometimes theirs. It just becomes all average. And I don't know. Right now they're in a window with that quarterback where I'd go, just go all in on the quarterback and the offense, and just put the pressure on people through the quarterback and the offense, just like we saw the Dolphins do last year, or we've seen the Chiefs do in years past, where, yeah, that's so good that a team has to change the way they play the game, and it actually, your defense is okay because the other team's playing a way or a style of football they don't want to play because of your offense. I don't know. That's a little bit of my just 2 cents on Buffalo there, but it would make sense with DeAndre Hopkins up there, no doubt. And, of course, the Chiefs would too, Mike. It's just what's it going to take to get it done to get DeAndre Hopkins at this point, I guess, is the big question.
One thing that we said when the Bills were potentially possibly linked to OBJ, the Von Miller experience, I think, has left them a little bit hesitant to make a move like that. Because you're right. It seems like they're willing to spread out average to every position.
You got me there?
Instead of compromising a little bit in one spot of the roster in order to be great in another. And sometimes you need to be great in one for the team to be great. And you have to do the best you can with what you have at the other position.
Right.
Whether that's having confidence you can draft somebody who could be developed quickly, a guy you really like who slips to round 5, who could come in and be a starter at safety or wherever, wherever, offensive line, a guy that we really like. We have confidence in our ability to identify a player, make a good projection, and develop him into the player he can be. So we can spend on a DeAndre Hopkins like we spent on Von Miller, or spend on an OBJ, or spend on whoever, go all in for greatness in one spot in the roster,
right,
and deal with whatever we have to deal with to balance out the whole cap load. I just feel like what happened with Von Miller last year, because I think they reluctantly embraced it last year with Von Miller, and now I feel like they're, see, we shouldn't have done that. See, we're going to back off now. We're going to draft and develop. We're not going to make any big moves. I feel like that's the psychology that's oozing out of the organization. Who knows? Who knows? But all we can do is judge them based upon what they do and don't do.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't disagree with that thought. Maybe it got them a little gun shy. It hasn't seemed to be kind of their, MO to begin with up there in Buffalo with this regime, right? But I think they're at a time where, like, we're discussing, hey, what got it going? Some splash moves to trade up and get Josh Allen. A splash move to trade and get Stephon Diggs. That's when it all changed. That's when we all started to go, ooh, whoa, there's a big splash over there, Buffalo, watch out. Well, they gotta add to that. I think that's what we're looking for. Or maybe a little frustrated with the Buffalo Bills football team. But so the next phase is then with this DeAndre Hopkins conversation, Mike. I mean, the price is fine for DeAndre Hopkins. I can't imagine anybody being worried about paying him that money at this point of his career. I mean, 19 this year, right? Is it around 14 and change next year, if I remember correctly, Mike, right? So it's in that ballpark for that kind of a player. I don't think that's a bad price at all. I think it's just all about what are they going to ask for and the trade value, and that's where it's going to get a little dicey in this conversation.
$19.45 million for 2023, $14.92 million for 2024, the two remaining years, on a contract that had a new money average of $27 million when it was signed, but that new money average can be hocus pocus and make a deal seem worth more than it is. Bottom line, we're in the final 2 years, and it ain't anywhere close to 27. The average is, around 17?
Yeah.
When you look at the 2 years combined. And that's where it got interesting yesterday. See, the video surfaced of his body language, facial expression exercise with Bryant McFadden. People were talking about it. People were speculating, and people have speculated, and I think this is accurate. When you negotiate a contract without an agent, you get toward the end of it and you hire an agent. You're not hiring. What are you hiring an agent for? Hiring an agent on an expectation that you're going to get a new contract. And we have assumed, based upon the spike in the market last year at the receiver position, and now he's no longer the highest paid guy, he wants more money. That led to his tweet that appeared within, an hour or so after that video started to take.
Right.
DeAndre Hopkins tells the world he's not looking for a raise in his own unique way. Hopkins isn't looking for a raise, signed Nuke. So that's his nickname. So that was the tweet that landed, and we reacted to it. We wrote something about it. I mean, it's the guy's own voice, guy's own words, with a blue check, a real blue check, not an $8 a month blue check, a legacy blue check. They're supposed to all be gone by the 20th. I think they got some work to do in the next 3 days. That's a different issue altogether. But that's DeAndre Hopkins. That's him saying he doesn't want to raise. Now, okay, fine. My first thought is this. You can say I don't want to raise, but you can also want every penny of the next 2 years to be fully guaranteed. You can want that. Currently, he's got no guarantees.
Sure.
So he could want that. He could want the last year to be ripped up. He could just want to do 1 year at 19.45 and then become a free agent. There are other ways to want adjustments to your contract without more money. Or you could also say, I want an extension. It's not that I want to raise, I just want an extension. And with that extension would come significant guaranteed money in the form of a sizable signing bonus. It's an extension. I still have my current contract. I'm not getting a raise on my current 2 years. I'm getting an extension. So you can play word games with that. And the bottom line is it was gone not long after it was posted. So the agent that he now has, my guess would be, got in touch with DeAndre Hopkins and said, you're not making my job any easier by saying you don't want to raise. Why are we giving that up? Just because we haven't found a trade yet doesn't mean we're not going to find one. Doesn't mean we're not going to get you a raise. Don't concede that. If you concede that point, then they're going to start asking you to take less money.
Well, I don't know if that'll happen, but you're right. It was a little peculiar, right? That it gets deleted like right after that. And I think that's, kind of the elephant in the room with this conversation too, with DeAndre Hopkins. So I can understand him wanting to put that thought out there. That's what, if like you're asking me about the DeAndre Hopkins conversation, and I want the player. I'd want him. No doubt about it. At this price, sure. All right, so what do I got to trade to get him? Okay. All right, so there. Oh, right. So wait. There's no new money thing right now at this moment. That adds to the value of wanting him. Like that. Like right now, he doesn't want to raise. I'm with you. I mean, that's such a loaded statement. Like, okay, he doesn't want to raise right now, but once he hits like 1,200 yards next year and it's week 15, he's going to say, hey, I think next year I need a raise for my 1 year left of my contract. I mean, that's coming. Like you said, all the signs point to that with signing the new agent. But at the same time, that being put out there like that, I would think would increase the suitors to go, okay, wait, it's not a new contract thing right now, right this second. But obviously he didn't feel confident about leaving that one out there.
I think it may have just been a manifestation of whatever anxiety he's feeling as he's been on the market now. He's been available. Everybody knows he's been available, and no one's biting. And I think at this point, nothing's going to happen until after the draft, when teams that may want to upgrade at receiver aren't able to get the guy they want, then they turn their attention to DeAndre Hopkins. And, we're also getting toward Julio Jones territory as well. And when Jones was traded by the Falcons to the Titans a few years ago, he went through the door with his current contract, and the thinking was he would have a big year and then look for more money after that. The problem is he didn't have a big year with the Titans. The problem was it was a failure, an embarrassment, one of the moves that undoubtedly contributed to the firing of John Robinson. A move that I don't think Coach Mike Vrabel was ever all that interested in making.
Right.
It's the mirror image of trading A.J. Brown, trading for Julio Jones, giving up draft capital for an expensive aging player whose best days were behind him. That wasn't a good idea. But what happened with Jones, the trade market developed after the draft and after June 1. And that $22 million in dead money that the Cardinals are going to take when they trade, if they trade DeAndre Hopkins, that gets cut right in half. He's got 2 years left on his deal with a $22 million dead cap charge. When there's 2 years left on the deal, it goes 50-50. This year, next year, if they wait until after June 1. At this point, why wouldn't you wait until after June 1? If you're the Cardinals, you're looking at $30 million in cap charge if he's on the team, $22 if he's traded pre-June 1, $11 if he's traded after June 1. Now, I don't know that the Cardinals really care right now. I think that those finer points of cap management, they don't have the luxury of even worrying about. I think they're just trying to figure out how to tie their shoes right now. But still, I think we're getting toward the point where why not wait until after June 1 if you're the Cardinals to finalize this trade? And then Hopkins joins a new team. Yeah, he's going to miss most of the offseason program, but a seasoned veteran. He probably didn't want to be there anyway at this point. Let him show up for training camp and get ready. But I don't know where it's going to be, and I think these complications contribute to the fact that it hasn't already been done.
Yeah,
and I look at it this way, too.
All of it.
We say 19.45 is a pretty good deal for him. I'm having trouble reconciling that with being stunned that Odell Beckham Jr. can make up to $18 million. And I know he hasn't played much the last 2 years, but I think if Beckham is healthy, and that may be a big if.
Right.
But
I know. Well, yeah, Odell Beckham Jr. healthy is one of the greatest things we've ever seen. I mean, there's a reason we were through 4 and 5 years in the NFL going, is Odell Beckham Jr. going to break all Jerry Rice's records? I mean, he was on a pace that we have never seen anybody on. I mean, and it was whatever way you wanted to do it. So I know what you're saying there. I hear you. I mean, Beckham's high-end talent, of course, I would agree with you, and I think what you're saying, it's up there with anybody when we know he's all systems go, healthy, and really at his best, like we saw before he hurt his knee in that Super Bowl game. We were sitting there going, oh, my gosh, Odell Beckham Jr. looks like he's got another gear that a lot of these guys don't on the field. So he is special that way. Hopkins, maybe doesn't have that potential, that high-end potential that way, but damn, he's still good. Damn, he's a proven commodity still. And, Mike, I think he's better than I think he's a clear notch or two above where Julio Jones was when he got traded from Atlanta to Tennessee. That was a weird trade. I mean, Atlanta was telling you that Julio was not the guy anymore. They were feeding Calvin Ridley. He was the guy at that time, if you remember. And, this is just how I work and connect dots. When Hopkins got suspended this year, he missed the first 6 games. And this just tells me this is why, hey, I can see it with my own eyes. But to tell me that the team thinks he's got it too and all that, as soon as he came back in the lineup, they were like, every play for him, every play for him. He's still the man. We see it at practice. He's the man. Nobody can cover him. We're going to make every play for him to be the first read. And he, of course, had still a damn good year with missing 6 games. So I do still think he has it. He's not going to catch 60 or 6-yard slants and take it 60 yards to the house, but he's still really good. That price tag is good still too, Mike. But yeah, I think all the things you mentioned are the things that make it dicey, hairy, whatever, to where I don't know when this gets shaken out or when this actually happens.
He had 721 receiving yards last year in 9 games. That doesn't sound like much, but it projects to 1361
Damn good.
on a 17-game season. So per game, he was doing pretty well when he did play. But you had the injury issues that caused him to miss 6 games in 2021. I got my numbers wrong. It's 717, not 721. But still, we're talking about 1,300 yards. But you've got injuries that caused him to miss games in 21, and then the PED suspension for 22. That's a red flag, even though his position is he didn't do anything deliberately. And, of course, everybody who ever gets popped for PED said they didn't do anything deliberately, so it's impossible to know who's telling the truth and who isn't. But, he's going to be 31 in June. You got to factor in the possibility that you're acquiring an asset that is depreciating, that is declining, that is in the process of not being what it used to be.
Yeah.
And again, 19.5 for him, 15 for Beckham. And the Ravens didn't have to give up anything to get Beckham.
No, well, yeah, I hear you.
It's a risk in both cases. There's a risk in both cases. And when you consider, and I think we kind of agreed a couple of weeks ago, that high-end receiver money is reserved for the best of the best right now. Not what used to be the best of the best or what could be the best of the best, but right now, the elite best receivers in the NFL, because there's too many receivers coming out in the draft every year. Not just the top guys, the lesser-known guys who end up becoming great third-rounders, second-rounders, fourth-rounders, whatever. There's just too many pass catchers to justify breaking the bank on Beckham, breaking the bank on Hopkins. And I think at some point, his best option is going to be on the table. Whatever it is, his best option is going to be there, and he has to ask himself, do I take it or do I not take it?
Yeah.
And lost in all this is the Cardinals.
Well, that's what I was saying. I'm getting the feel that he'll take anything.
McFadden had asked him.
Yeah, right.
I wish he'd asked him about the Cardinals and see what his reaction was to that.
Yeah,
I have a feeling it's a given that it's drop the mic and walk away if the Cardinals are the opportunity.
Right. It seems like, we're going to talk about another guy here in a minute. They got issues there. The wrong signals are being sent to the older veteran players that they feel like, all right, the hell with this. I don't want to be here anymore. He doesn't. So I think he's willing to take anything. But Mike, I think, you explained it right. I think it's the balancing of the age, the injury history, the compensation for what you got to trade for the guy, and then the look down the road of, wait, if we get this guy and he's good, we're going to get to December and he's going to ask for a new contract. And we're going to have to pay him, and we're going to have to balance out what we traded for him and all those things. Is it going to be a 1-year rental? Are we going to pay him? And how much are we going to pay him? Because to Mike Florio's point, it is 31, and this is the time when receivers who especially have been injured start to go downhill a little bit, and do we really want to invest a lot of money into that guy? That's the thing teams are going to balance it out. I think we flushed that out. And I'm with you in the fact that I think it's probably after the draft as well. I think that's when teams will probably be the most desperate, and Arizona will probably get the, best deal for their money, or at least the way they look at it at that time, when that team can go to OTAs, minicamp, and go, whoa, wait, we definitely need a receiver, and we need a veteran one at that, and that's where the value of Hopkins might come into play.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.